Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fragrant Bunker. It is January, the new year has begun. It is 2024, and with it, the first month of the year. We're trying to make it relaxing. We're trying to just forget the past year, try to think positive, good vibes for the new year. So let's see which perfumes are accompanying me throughout January. So this is my top 5 perfumes for the month of January fragrance list. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already here on the tubes. You can also push the join button next to the subscription button. Become a member today of my perfume channel and gain access to extra perks. Also push the notification bell to get notified every time I post a new video. So you guys, let's jump into this beautiful little momentous occasion. I think, as you can see with this purple, blue, pinky kind of sky, there's a lot of hues in there. This is the vibe, okay? It's a little bit like Stanley Kubrick, The Shining meets Another Distant Planet with a weird moon. And I'm feeling the cold, okay? And I need something to warm up to counter this. But then from time to time, I also need something to maintain the coolness. It's a moody thing. It's like a mood swing in January. I'm feeling the mood swings going on in January for me. So let's start on the warm note. And the warm note for me has been a perfume that I've been using quite a bit lately, actually really a lot. And that would be Shalimar Millésime Iris, or the Iris Millésime of Shalimar. So it's a little bit tricky with these bottles. Now they came out, it's a limited edition, right? They have a different millésime come out since 2 years now, every year new one. They had a Tonka version last year. Not really my cup of tea, but the Iris, oh my gosh. This is really my cup of tea, but it's a little bit tricky. So they only come in 50 ml. And these bottles, as you can see, are tricky because they expand from the bottom upwards. And it looks like you're using up less than you're actually using, because if we flip them upside down, look how much is actually missing, right? But then here it looks like more is missing than actually is missing because there's less space up, down. You know what I mean? Physics. But the only way you can really see how much you've used up is if you take it on this side. So we can see that I'm almost halfway through. The trickery of perfumery and their bottles. It's so insane. So halfway through the bottle will be at the half mark here. And we're almost halfway through. So I've been using this one a lot. However, when you flip it like this, it looks like, oh yeah, I've just used a little bit of the perfume. Yeah, that's what she said. So anyway, we got the Iris, the Guerlinade, the Guerlain Vanilla. Oh, it's such a boozy vanilla in here. Yes, there's the Iris as well, but it's more vanilla than Iris really. But the thing is, the Iris contributes to the leather, the orris root really is what contributes to that leather accord, that suede leather accord of this perfume. It's divine. It almost goes into burnt woods or burnt vanilla, but it's a boozy vanilla. It's a creamy boozy vanilla, and then it goes into that dry suede leather accord of the Iris and orris root, and it keeps kind of, going from one place to the next. It's just from, and then it even has hints of incense in there, which is like so bizarre, but it is warm, it is warm, but then it also has that suede leather accord, not sweaty leather, not patent leather, but suede. Oh, it's so gorgeous. And oh my gosh, this is so refined. Maybe that's the reason why they can't really just release this one regularly and just keep selling it all the time. It just smells elevated, it smells like there's a lot of quality in here. It really, really reeks of quality. And what a beautiful way to begin a new year. And look at this blue color matching my blue background, and also the lid. So perfect. Oh, it disappears in the landscape with my green screen. And then it has this little tiny leather ribbon dangling off there. Now you can move it around a little bit. So Shalimar Millésime d'Iris, the 2023 limited edition flanker of Shalimar, to die for. it makes me feel like everything is possible, happiness in the air. I'm just cradled and cuddled, and this perfume is just making me feel safe. I love it. It's perfect for January. The next one is the opposite of warmth. It's more cooling for those days when you feel a little bit more frisky, even though it is January. But you're feeling that promise of spring. It's a little bit early for spring, right? But I need it for myself. There are those days where I wake up and the sky is blue. It's not gray. It's not covered up. It's not frosty. It's not rainy. It's not snowy, but it is blue. And you feel kind of, oh, something new is coming. We've just passed New Year's Eve and now we're into something new. And that new, and also you see the theme now coming up. We have more blue in this perfume. It's Dolce & Gabbana's Pour Homme. This is the OG formula. It's the Euro-Italia version, but I also like the Shiseido made in France version, as well as the newly released Dolce & Gabbana made in Italy Pour Homme, since Dolce & Gabbana took their perfumes in their own hands and are now managing the distribution themselves. This is a Fougère fragrance, okay? We have our lavender, we have our bergamot, Sicilian bergamot. I mean, we need some connection to Sicily when it comes to at least Domenico Dolce. Stefano is more from the north of Italy. So we got bergamot, tangerine, orange, lemon listed here. This is a tester bottle. Lavender, clary sage, tarragon, cardamom, black pepper in the heart notes, bottom notes, sandalwood, cedarwood, tonka beans, musks. So it's a Fougère green, fruity, fresh, olfactive family as listed by Euro-Italia. Oh man, do I love this perfume. Oh, do I love this perfume. I love it so, so, so much. And let's add it on top of the other one. Why not? The best of the 90s, what can I say? Really, Dolce & Gabbana delivered both with their red cap as well as Pour Homme. They delivered such incredible fragrances. This one, it's giving you luxury barbershop chic, but it's also giving you major, clean, polished, dapper vibes, but also very comfortable. It's giving you warm wools and Sicilian wool and Sicilian tweed made out of Sicilian wool, beautiful poplin cotton, the whole mix together, and you're just wearing something that makes you feel comfortable, cozy, warm, but also sexy, sharp. And sometimes the winter can be quite sharp, depending if you're in the northern or the southern hemisphere of the planet in January. But for the northern hemisphere, there's a sharpness in the air in January. Sometimes cuts you like a razor. And that's this one. It delivers, but it is floral in a way too, right? So beautiful. For those days when you're feeling a little bit more, the heat is coming from inside of you. You don't need that perfume to add the heat, like a blanket or like a warm scarf would be, which is the example, Millésime d'Iris, Shalimar would be that warm scarf, wool or cashmere that surround. This is more like cashmere surrounding you, and cashmere foulard. Dolce & Gabbana would be more of a white, clean silk shirt or cotton shirt or silk. I am wearing a silk shirt today, coincidentally, but this is Versace from 2010, from their Op Art collection, so not Dolce & Gabbana, but Italian nevertheless. Now the next one is, again, the opposite of the one before, so we're going in like opposite spectrums the whole time. And this is typical for January because for me, January is a month where I'm usually a little bit confused, discombobulated. I'm still signing documents with the year before. I always make a mistake when I'm signing the date. I'm still writing, 2023 instead of 2024. Happens to me every year. I don't know if it happens to you as well. I know we're mostly signing everything digitally nowadays, but if you have to sign something with your hand, like the first couple of days, you're still signing automatically without thinking it with 2023 or whatever year was the year prior, and then you kind of switch to the new year. And And so I'm also kind of very much between, the holiday season has just passed. There was like family reunions, food, and now you're kind of catapulted into the world, like you're being born all over again, and like you're all alone all over again, and you're like, oh my God, okay, I gotta conquer a whole new year. So you're discombobulated. There's the memory of the warmth of the family and all that stuff still lingering there, but then there's also the cold realization that the world isn't a better place after New Year's Eve. We always put all of these huge hopes into the new year, and then when it kind of comes, and then the date arrives when you have to go back to work, you're like, oh, so nothing really changed. All my hopes are shattered. So but you're still kind of holding on to hope. You still think things are gonna get better. That's at least me. So that's why I'm kind of like shifting, like ticking, like between those extremes of like hopelessness and hope, warmth and cold, dreams, shattered dreams. Everything's possible. No, nothing is possible anymore. That's my January, at least. I don't know about yours, but mine is like, plus the New Year's resolution. What am I doing here? It's such a mess. And my perfumes reflected. They're all over the place. So the next one is warm, but spicy. Very, very earthy, very, very into the mountains, very patchouli heavy. A beautiful patchouli, a wet patchouli. It's a very natural smelling patchouli, very earthy, soily patchouli. And that would be Dior's Puli Imperial, the Imperial patchouli. Now this baby is amazing. They still make it, but no longer in the small bottles. I think as of now, you can either find leftover small bottles, but I think as of now, they only do the 250 ml big bottles of Puli Imperial. Correct me if I'm wrong. They keep changing their mind at Dior. What's going to get discontinued, what isn't. It's like I've lost track. Oh, it's so beautiful. This is an older batch. This one has also gone through several reformulations. Yes, let's add another layer of perfume on top. It's that day. It's January. You just put everything on top of each other and you just linger on. It is an imperial patchouli. It is a powerful, strong, wet, natural smelling patchouli. It is beautiful. It is majestic. It's not for everyone's taste, but it's a whiff of fresh air, strangely, right? Because you would think, oh, it's kind of like a warm scent. It's not as warm as Shalimar Millésime d'Iris, because this one goes really cuddly warm, vanilla warm. This one stays cool, sober, but weirdly hot. Patchouli has a lot of different connections to memory. I mean, the whole hippie movement was about patchouli, but that was a different type of smelling patchouli, more synthetic. This one is more elevated. There's more minty accords in this patchouli. It's a cooling, it's like a vegetal patchouli that delivers a very, very sophisticated smell. Elevated, rich, sharp. I think sharp is the right adjective here, and especially good if you're dealing with business in the new year. And like January begins with traveling for work, and you got to bring your A game to the table all the time in your meetings, whatever sessions you have with other people. Puli Imperial is such a sharp fragrance that really, really boosts other people's respect of you when they're with you in the room. It's very fascinating how people react to me when I wear this fragrance. It's like I have less work to do, which is a really big help because I'm exhausted at the beginning of the new year always. And it's kind of really, really a nice help when a perfume does a bit of the job for you. They kind of protect you. The perfume builds a sort of a protection shield, and the perfume and the people around you sense it. And the perfume works in your favor because they trust you more. The perfume builds a solid reputation as well. So they smell you in a certain way so the people also feel like, okay, you got this. oh, he has his shit together. Even though inside you're like falling apart, but the perfume really helps you portray and convey more that feeling of having yourself pulled together and very clear on what the next step is, what's the next step you're going to do business wise. You know what I mean? Puli Imperial, perfection for the beginning of the year for that. That's my January pick as well. Now, number 4 is the flirty version of January. It is more of a coquette version of January. It is the perfume I wear to go sale shopping. This is the perfume I wear when I'm a little bit more frivolous, when I'm feeling a little bit more frisky, when I'm feeling a little bit more ostentatious, when I feel as if, I've worked a lot and I keep working and I'm doing a lot. Let me dedicate like half a day to myself now. Let me go into the mall or into some boutique or some shop or some coffee shop or, depending on what are the things you prefer to spend money on for your own personal pleasure and entertainment. For me, the fragrance to go shopping in January for those special deals that are around, whether it be luxury shopping or not luxury shopping, I wear Cocomoiselle, the Parfum. This is the Extrait in 7.5 ml spray form. You can buy it as a splash, but I love the spray. Now, I don't know if they've discontinued this. Is it still available? Oh boy, I only got a little bit left. I have to get a new bottle. Again, patchouli. Interesting how patchouli is my thing for like a rebirth, beginning of a new year. This is a sweet patchouli, right? Cocomoiselle was launched in the early 2000s, and it started the whole trend of the sweet patchouli fragrances. I mean, it was kind of a groundbreaking fragrance back then. It was very Y2K. This is the Y2K era in bottle form. But what is very fascinating about Cocomoiselle is that it has transcended the limitation of time. What does that mean? There was a time when Cocomoiselle was very much, when it was still a younger fragrance, right? Because most of us watching this video now, I mean, I don't know, some of you might have been born later, but for those of us who were born before this perfume was launched, unlike Chanel No. 5 that was launched in 1921, most of us are not alive. I mean, most of us were not born when No. 5 was launched. Some might still be alive from that time, but most people are not. But what is interesting, so what I'm trying to say here is that Chanel No. 5 had over 100 years time to solidify itself as a kind of a timeless fragrance. It smells of all time and no time at all, right? Cocomoiselle, because it's relatively young still, considering how old some perfumes are in the game, it's still relatively young. It has gone through that phase and that stage at a certain point in time, let's say when it was 10 to 15 years old, where it smelled a little bit dated. And I remember, like 10 years ago, I would smell Cocomoiselle and I would be like, okay, so, around 2010, 2013, you would smell Cocomoiselle and it would smell like, oh yeah, this is the perfume of the early 2000s. It smells a little bit dated, but Chanel kept producing it. It kept selling really well. Now in 2024, right? It's like more than 20 years have passed, like 24 years or so have passed since its launch. Now, this perfume has been on the market for so long that it has penetrated through that, it has burst through that wall of limitation of being kind of dated. Now it smells timeless. It has earned, in other words, it has earned its place in Chanel perfume history. Now when I smell Cocomoiselle, I don't just see it as a Y2K era perfume. No. Now it's something else. It's more, it's now it smells like Chanel heritage. It has been produced so often, and the quality has been maintained solid throughout the years. It has literally earned its status as a classic Chanel perfume. And that's a great note for all the brand marketing teams out there, when they try to create a trend bag, an it perfume, an it moment for anything in fashion and cosmetics and perfumery. You need time for a product to really become a classic. It can't become a classic overnight. It just can't. Especially nowadays where trends are consumed so quickly. And like every day there's a new trend. And like you're always you never have the time to really enjoy and flavor and taste something new and allow it to seep into your DNA. Same with music. There was a time when a music hit, single that was a hit would go around the globe and it would take months and months and months for the next one to arrive. Nowadays, it's like a one-day thing. There's a hit today, tomorrow there's a new one. You already forgot the one from yesterday. Same with movie releases, TV shows. There's way more being filmed and way more being released on a quicker, much more quicker, in a much more quicker pace. And you just forget. Whatever you liked yesterday, you're going to forget it tomorrow because tomorrow you're already going to have another 50 new things to see. So we have very little space in our heads, and all of these brands and all of these programs, movies, songs, perfumes, they're all fighting for the space in our mind, for the attention, our attention. But we have limited attention. And also our attention spans are decreasing, right? The fruit fly syndrome. So it is very refreshing when something has withstood the test of time, like Cocomoiselle, and it kind of penetrates that wall and goes into that other realm where it becomes its own thing. It's become a classic. It has earned its place in the classics of Chanel. And I'm going to spray it on this side because I don't want to layer. This is the extrait. I don't want to layer it with the others. It's a little bit overpowering. Oh, so beautiful. Oh, man. This thing is really magical. It has fully, in my book, earned the denomination a classic Chanel perfume. It is also the second best sold of Chanel, together with Chanel No. 5. Actually, some time ago, Cocomoiselle jumped above No. 5 in sales and then went down again, up and down. But it's interesting to see on the Chanel website, whenever you check the Chanel website in their perfume list, Chanel kind of always classifies their perfumes on the list, like which one is on top. The list, like No. 5 is always on top, then Cocomoiselle, Gabrielle. That's how you can see which perfumes are their best sellers. The ones that are placed on the top of the list are always the best selling ones. And then further down you go on the list, you see which ones are less, best sellers than others. That's kind of a hint that Chanel always gives us. That's how I always find out which perfumes are doing well or not, and which could potentially end up on the chopping board. But Chanel thankfully is not discontinuing things that quickly like other brands are. This fruity patchouli concoction, magical, beautiful for January. It sparkles with the aldehydes like frost in the air, like frosty, cold, cool air. But then there's that patchouli again that warms stuff up with the floral accords and the fruity accords that makes everything plump and fuzzy and safe and comfortable and playful. And this is why I love wearing this when I go shopping, because it's playful. It's a playful moment. And so beautiful. Love Cocomoiselle Parfum. And I'm glad it made it to the list because it's not often on my list. I love this perfume a lot, but I don't wear it a lot. I should. No. 5, last but not least at all, it's, I think, my most worn perfume this month thus far. And it has been reformulated. It was released in 2005. Another Y2K moment. Another vanilla moment. Woody, cedar woody, patchouli-esque. They don't really list the patchouli there, but you could sense it out. The jasmine is in there. The reformulated version had the ambergris. Now they're not mentioning ambergris anymore in the current formula, and that would be Gaultier by the Power of Two. Look at that little gold print. So they have updated the bottle and everything. So I have unboxed this a couple of months ago, and it did have ambergris listed on the box, not on the ingredients, but in the description of the perfume, jasmine, ambergris. Now they changed that to vanilla, musk, amber accord. They have tweaked the formula. They've also tweaked the print on the bottle. It almost looked like a sticker. Now it's like all one with the glass, the gold print on the bottle. They've fine-tuned that as well. And they have tweaked the formula. And I must say, a couple of you people actually were telling me, my viewers, hey, Dacob, you've reviewed the re-release of Gaultier by the Power of Two a couple of months ago, and you were not very happy with it. Just letting you know, they've reformulated it. Try it out again if you get a chance. And to try it out, I did. I purchased a new bottle. In fact, they've updated also the bottle. They have updated the description of the perfume and the packaging of the bottle. And they've also tweaked the actual scent. And boy, oh boy, it is really, really just like the original. And I do have the original. They have really, really now tweaked it in a way that it, to my nose, in the opening, you do get that floral accord, but then that kind of, calms down. And as it calms down and cools down, you get that beautiful amber, vanilla, musk seeping through. And that is Gaultier by the Power of Two. It's the OG. So it's such a beautiful, trashy synthetic perfume. I love it. This is really, really, really cool for the evenings, if you're going out, if you're going partying, clubbing, to a restaurant, on a date. This is so flirty. It's flirtatious. It's fun. It gives you a certain flair, sense of security. It makes you feel good about yourself. Who doesn't want that from a perfume? This is a very, very beautiful one to go out and go party. And it invites people to come closer to you, to smell you. It's sexy. It's sexy, but in not an aggressive way, Oh man, it's so beautiful. Now all of them layered together, it like gives me a whole other discovery. Oh, so beautiful. So beautiful. There's a dryness to this, but also it's wet at the same time. It's sweaty, almost skin-like smell, but animalic, but also woodsy. It's a very beautiful, very, very beautiful composition. I'm so glad they brought it back, and I'm really glad that they nailed this formula. So I'm saying get it while it lasts, because this one is only available on the Gaultier website, and it does sell out, and then they make a new batch, and then when it sells out, then it's gone for a couple of weeks or months, and they make a new batch again. And who knows if the new batch is going to be reformulated again. Before it gets reformulated, I don't want to wait. That's why I got mine already, and I'm thinking of getting another bottle. Trying to see the batch code here, 31571. They kind of etched it into the glass, and I'm trying to reflect it so that I can see. 31571 is my batch code. Just letting you know. So the 31571 is, to my nose, as it dries down, it's the OG 2005 Gaultier by the Power of Two. It's just so beautiful. Of course, it also has hints of Fragile, another Gaultier masterpiece that's discontinued. It kind of hints at that as well. I mean, it is a Gaultier perfume after all. What do you want? They all have that DNA that is rooted in the 90s, in the synthetic artificial 90s, when he first released Classique and Le Mal. Those two babies are the founding father and mother of all future Gaultier perfumes. So all the future Gaultier perfumes toy and play with that DNA. Coincidentally, Le Mal was formulated by Francis Kurkdjian, and Francis Kurkdjian also did Gaultier by the Power of Two. So there is a very clear sense of continuity here. The original Gaultier by the Power of Two had, its magnets. The bottles could be like put together. That's why it's by the Power of Two. Like, it's a unisex fragrance marketed as such. So him and her can both buy a bottle and then they can stick together like a couple. Kind of cute, playful thing. They don't do that anymore with a modern bottle. They have completely changed the design of the bottle. They've given it that Le Male top, which you can kind of clip in the little clip to prevent it from spraying. Not a big fan of this. But anyway, it is what it is. I'm just glad it's back. I don't mind if it has this new bottle or not. What is important to me is that the juice inside is the right juice. And Puig for Gaultier, they're the distributors of Gaultier, they did good by this one, even though this one is made in Spain, not in France. They still did good. They still did good. I'm really loving this. So this one is a great night fragrance. The days are short anyway in the Northern Hemisphere in January. Days are getting slowly longer, but they're still very short. So technically, already at 4 or 5 p.m., you spritz this thing on and you go into the night with it. Amazing. Really, really beautiful also to go to bed with, no matter with who and how you're going to bed. There you go. That would be my top 5 perfumes for the month of January. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, thumb it up, subscribe to my channel, and until next time, never forget to never give up on love. Love you loads. Take care. Bye. Mwah.